Hey there. So, if you're like me, you've watched an episode of CSI and you've wondered so many times, how in the world do they go in there and get the evidence out of there and get a criminal out of that? How do they go in there and get this thumbprint or this cell and get the DNA out of it and look in their database and say, hey, this guy is our criminal? Well, one of the ways they're able to take DNA and find out who it is polymerase chain reaction, okay? And that's what I'm talking to you about today. So, PCR is a method scientists use to amplify a strand of DNA that they're given. And there are many different ways that we utilize this in the science field. I'm going to talk to you about those right now. So, what does this allow us to do? It allows us to diagnose infectious and hereditary diseases. It also allows us to identify different kind of fingerprints. And also, it helps us in the new field of DNA cloning. But how does this work? I've told you about it, but how does this work? PCR, it relies on thermal cycling. What happens in thermal cycling is where they heat up the DNA and they melt it, and that allows it for enzymatic replication. Okay. When they heat it up, the initial heat separates these two strands of DNA. And this sets up the whole rest of the process. These two strands then become templates for the rest of the DNA that will be elongated. Okay? DNA primers then come in and they kickstart the synthesis of the DNA. TAQ polymerase, which is one of the many polymerases that is used in this method, is then used to synthesize the new DNA from the template strands that I just talked about. So, things necessary for this to happen. First of all, you need your DNA, okay? And this DNA can be up to 10,000 base pairs. You can go above that, but it won't be as accurate. You also need your primers, one for the 3' end, one for the 5' end. You also need this TAQ polymerase that I told you about, that can withstand a heat of 70 degrees Celsius. Lastly, you need your buffer solution to provide an environment that encourages DNA synthesis. Typically, you go through 20 to 40 cycles of heating and cooling. Okay? And each cycle within it has 3 heating and cooling steps in order to reach a suitable result. The steps in this, the first step is initialization, excuse me very much. This consists of heating the mixture to a maximum of 90 degrees Celsius for 1 to 9 minutes, anywhere in there, however long it takes. The next step is denaturization. This involves heating the mixture back up for maximum to 20 to 30 seconds, back up to 96 degrees Celsius. Annealing is the next step. This is where the mixtures are lowered to 50 to 65 degrees Celsius for 20 to 40 seconds. Okay, this is where polymerase binds to the primer template and begins DNA formation. This is a crucial step. Okay, the next one is where the magic happens. It's called extension and elongation. It occurs at 75 to 80 degrees Celsius. This is the prime temperature for this to happen. The DNA is doubled and the new strands are synthesized. And then, finally, elongation. This occurs at 70 to 75 degrees Celsius. And this is just done to make sure that all the DNA strands that are within the mixture are synthesized, leaving nothing behind. Also, a step that could be used past this to make sure that the correct fragment was synthesized could be electrophoresis, which is an example that we went over in lab the other day. It'll show us. We can just check our work, basically. That's what I'm trying to get out of that. Okay? Alright, so this is my picture. Alright, as you can see, we have the steps going from top to bottom. As you can see, denaturation is at the top. That's where we're heating it up and separating the two strands. Annealing is right there. That's where we heat it back up again for a short amount of time. And that's where the primer's attached to the strands. The elongation then happens. That's where everything's synthesized. As you can see, it just repeats and repeats and repeats, and you have all these different strands that are produced out of it. And this can produce millions of strands, and that's how we, that's what we're looking for in this. We're looking to produce many, many strands so we can get in there and get a good look at this DNA. It'll give us a better chance of identifying what this DNA is, or all the strands of this DNA. That's all I have. All the information I had today was either off of Wikipedia, or there was a nifty little poster in the lab over here that I looked on as well. That's all I have. Thanks.